Hi guys! Today I'm making another typical vegan meal, and I've already done some preparation. So here I have some mixed rice. It's just a couple different kinds of rice. There's black, red, short grain brown rice, and then long grain white rice. And then I already added the spices that I like to use. I have some Polish spices here. It's called Vegeta. It's pretty much just salt and a whole bunch of dehydrated vegetables, I believe. And then I also like to use this, it's called chili powder, Valle del Sol, which is kind of, it adds a little kick to food. And then over here on this side, I have some black beans. And I already soaked them. Anytime I'm going to make beans, I always soak them for at least overnight so that they absorb all the water and that they plump up to the size that they're going to be when they're cooked. And the good thing about soaking beans is that it removes the, I don't know, the farting chemical. So you don't have to worry about, saying, oh, I don't eat beans because they make me fart. Well, if you soak them, also if you cook them with some kombu, which is like some seaweed, it also removes that. So there's two options that you have, and also a bay leaf. If you put a bay leaf into the soup while it's cooking, it'll also remove that chemical or whatever it is that makes people fart. So here I'm going to go ahead and start off. I have 2 cups of mixed rice. And since I already soaked the rice, I like soaking rice as well, especially brown rice, because it takes a lot longer to cook. I do have a steamer, but I prefer to cook it in a pot myself. So I have 2 cups, but since I already soaked it, I would usually use 4 cups if it wasn't soaked. So I'm just going to use 3 cups since it's already absorbed some of the moisture, some of the water. And it's pretty much the size it's going to be when it's cooked. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this one on to high heat, and I'm also going to turn my beans on to high heat. And what I'm going to do is I'm cooking these separately, but I'm going to end up mixing them together. And it just turns out much better when I cook things separately instead of trying to cook everything together in one pot. So let me just get some water real quick. And the water inside the beans, I just put enough water to where it's double the amount of the layer of beans that's in there, so they have enough room to boil around. And let me just give this a little stir to get the spices nice and mixed in. And while these 2 things are going, I'm going to make some, it's a seitan soup, and seitan is, it says here, seasoned wheat protein. And it's pretty much wheat dough that's been kneaded and rinsed at the same time, and everything that falls out is discarded, and what's left is just wheat protein, which is gluten. So it's pure gluten, which is not good for people who are allergic to gluten, but it's pretty much like the meat for vegans, because the texture of it is very similar to chicken, and this is chicken style. I didn't purposely buy it because it's like meat. I just buy it because I like how it tastes, and it's a lot of protein. It says 20 grams of protein per serving, so I don't really care that it's like meat, but it just so happens that it's a product that's available, and it's been used for a long time by monks in China, Russia, and all over the place. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up and chop up some onion. Alright guys, so I chopped up the onion, and I'm going to go ahead and turn on my skillet over here. I'm going to heat it up, and let me get my olive oil. And this is what the seitan looks like. So the seitan, they cut it up and made it look like chicken. It said chicken style on the packaging. And I'm just going to use it like this. I think it's already chopped up enough that I can just use it in my cooking. So now that my pot is heated, let me just add some of my olive oil. Let me add my onion. Alright, so my rice over here is boiling now. And pretty much when you're making a grain, any kind of grain, oatmeal, rice, barley, those kind of things, you just bring it to a boil, and then once it's been boiling for maybe a minute or so, you can turn it down all the way. I just turned it down all the way so that it can simmer, and it's going to simmer like this for usually 20 to 30 minutes depending on how much you have in there. But I just keep an eye on it, and once it looks like there's no more bubbles coming up from the bottom, I just open it up and I spread it open a little bit to see how much liquid's left, and that's how I gauge when it's ready. So now that this is sauteing over here, we're just going to let it saute for a pretty good amount of time. Once the onions start to change color, let me add some salt to this. And I'm also going to add garlic, so I'm going to go ahead and chop up some garlic. So I'll actually show you guys how I chop my garlic. On TV I learned that if you just smash it with the skin still on it, the skin just falls off. And I hope you guys can see this. So I have 3 large cloves of garlic. I love garlic, like a lot. And I think this chunk has like 2 or 3 pieces inside. And when I cook with garlic, I don't like to add it right away because it tends to burn. And I mean, I like the garlic to taste like garlic. And if it's burnt, it just doesn't really taste good. But I always just coarsely chop my garlic. I don't care if I get a big chunk in there. Some people do, and I don't know, it just takes a long time anyway, so I'm fine with some coarse chopping with garlic. But as you can see, I have a nice little heap going here. And my onions, let me just mix them around a little bit more. They're starting to change color at the bottom. At this point, I can already smell the onion. It smells really good. So now I'm going to go ahead and add my seitan. Just put it on top. And mix this around. And the seitan already comes seasoned, the one that I bought. So I don't really have to worry too much about seasoning it up that much. So this one's got a spicy flavor. This one, let's add, I like curry, so I'm going to add a little bit of curry powder to this one. Not too much, because usually it's pretty strong. Let me add some pepper in here. And this is usually how I cook. I never have like a recipe that's just waiting for me to make. I literally just grab whatever I have in my kitchen, and then I just start cooking, and I just create different dishes all the time. And then some that I really like, I'll recreate. I think this is the first time I'm going to make this seitan soup, so I'm kind of excited to see how it's going to turn out. Oh man, that curry smells really good. Now, I'm going to add the garlic. Now that the onion has pretty much cooked and it's soft now, and the seitan has heated up and is also getting a little softer, I'm going to add the garlic on top. And I'm going to turn the heat down a little bit just so that the garlic doesn't burn on me. Initially what I was going to do is saute this up and add some miso to the broth that I'm going to cook this in. But since I added curry here, the miso and the curry probably won't go together. But I'm more excited about the curry flavor now. Okay, so this is pretty much good to go. I'm not going to let the garlic heat up too much. I just want it to get nice and warm so that it can release some of its flavor. And finally, I have some, I don't know what country it's from, but my mom always used it. It's Sazon Goya. I believe Goya is a Puerto Rican company. Probably a lot of Hispanic people use it. But it's just a Mexican or a Hispanic seasoning that's very popular, and I know that this will go good with the curry, and I'm going to add this as well. And this adds an orange color, so my soup will end up being nice and orange or red. And that's it for this. So I'm just going to turn off the heat. So this looks freaking good to me. I could probably just eat it like this, but I would like to try it in a soup since it's winter. So now that this is going and it's done, I'm going to go ahead and move it. I'm going to bring this deeper pan over here. And let me go ahead and pour it all out. And the reason why I want a deeper one is because, like I said, I'm going to make it into kind of a soup. So let me go ahead. Oh, let me turn this one on. And I usually use vegetable broth, but I don't have any today, so I'm just going to end up using water. I don't want it too soupy. I just want enough liquid to where, you know, the things can be swimming around. And I'll just let this bring to a boil. And I do have some leftover tomato sauce that I need to use, so I'm going to add that to this. Not all of it, but I'm going to add some. That's probably good. So let's see how this tastes so far. It just definitely needs salt. Oh, and I think my beans over here, as you can see, they're bubbling up. So let me turn that all the way down. And I'm also going to remove this white foam that comes up. I don't know, maybe that's the stuff that makes you poop. Or I mean, that makes you fart. So this should be done in the next 20 minutes, I hope. And it looks like my rice is looking pretty dry on the top. Let me turn this down some. Let me add some salt. Oh, that's a lot. Alright, so let me open up my rice and get in there. Yeah, this looks like it's already absorbed all the liquid. So I'm going to turn that off completely, and then I'm just going to fluff it and move it around. And I usually fluff it multiple times. Actually, you know what? There's still some liquid down there, so I'm going to turn it back on. But either way, I'm going to fluff it a little bit. And what I mean by fluffing is I turn it off, and then I just put some air in it by moving it around with my fork. And I let it sit covered for about 10 minutes, and then I come back and I fluff it again. And I do that about 2 or 3 times until the rice is completely separated and it's not sticking to each other. I really like to do that, especially because I'm going to mix it with the beans. I want the rice grains to be completely separated from each other, and I want the beans to also just kind of be able to mix easily within the rice. So I've never used this rice mixture before, so it may not come out how I want it to, since it's so many different kinds of rice. So some may come out softer than the others. But let me taste this again for salt. Oh my god, that's really good. So I'm also going to add some mushrooms, because mushrooms are a good source of, well, I don't know if it's a really good source of vitamin D,